With the WINN FM News, I am Yulana Weeks.
St. Kitts and Nevis House of Assembly clerks participate in regional workshop for clerks and parliamentary officials. JCI West Indies National President visits St. Kitts and Nevis. JCI St. Kitts and Nevis reactivated.
The details and more straight ahead.
Clerk of the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis, Trevelyn Stapleton, and her deputy, Mariel Knight, represented the Federation at the 2025 Regional Workshop for Clerks and Parliamentary Officials, hosted by the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association UK. Stapleton and Knight were listed among 33 delegates, representing 16 branches of the Caribbean, Americas, and Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. The delegation included clerks, parliamentary secretaries, stenographers, and research assistants who gathered at the J. Hamilton Maurice Room, ground floor, Cabildo Building Parliamentary Complex in Port of Spain, Trinidad, from February 11 to 13. The Commonwealth Parliamentary Association said the program was a, quote, productive and enriching experience for all participants as they were able to share insights, learn from each other, and delve into critical topics that are shaping the future of parliamentary practices across the Caribbean, unquote. The delegation focused their discussion on the integration of technology, artificial intelligence in Parliament, developing a comprehensive code of conduct, the independence of parliaments, the roles of parliamentary clerks and officials, and inducting new members, among other important topics. Stapleton and Knight made presentations during different sessions. Knight, in particular, joined a panel discussion on improving civic engagements and public outreach. The Clerks program, now in its 5th year, provides parliamentary workers the opportunity to share experiences and best practices, network, and strengthen the bonds between territories in the Caribbean region and the UK Parliament. 2 clerks from the UK Parliament, 1 representative from the House of Commons and the other from the House of Lords, shared their experience with the delegates. Following the closing of the Caribbean Clerks program, clerks and parliamentary officials were presented with certificates of participation.
The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has intensified its traffic education campaign as more individuals continue to receive tickets for violating road laws. Taxi and tour operators have come under particular scrutiny, with many reportedly operating without the necessary driver's licenses and decals. Traffic Officer Donnelly Libert-Shiverton highlighted this issue during an appearance on WINN FM's Island Tea program on Monday morning.
We have gotten word from the general public or persons who are our ears and eyes on the street when we are not around, that there are persons who are driving taxis, for example, that don't have the appropriate class. So this morning I want to educate the taxi drivers that your driver's license must be of a class A. Your driver's license must be of a class A. You must also have a taxi license, and that taxi license, you would get that from the tourism department, where you would have to go and do a test, and they would give you the necessary information that you would need in order for you to obtain a taxi license. But we want to speak to the persons who are driving taxis, and you are not the holder of a taxi license, a Class A driver's license. You must come to the traffic department or call us at 465-2241 and ask.
This is part of a broader challenge in the Federation, where residents frequently disregard traffic laws, including driving without the appropriate licenses.
Some persons feel in their mind that once I have a driver's license, I'm entitled to drive. And so this morning I want to let the general public know that there were different classes of driver's license, and there are also appropriate license and non-appropriate license when it comes to our Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Once you have a Class P driver's license, you are only allowed to drive vehicles that are under 4 tons, that is within that class. Once you have an automatic driver's license, you can nowhere drive a standard vehicle. I just want to put that out there to the general public. Once you have an automatic license, you can nowhere drive a standard vehicle.
In response to a recent spike in road accidents, the police have ramped up stop and search operations, issuing numerous tickets for various infractions. Just last week, law enforcement reported that 58 tickets were issued at vehicular checkpoints set up at Johnson's Long Path and Island Main Road in Connery. A police statement detailed the results of the operations led by Superintendent Bradshaw, Inspector Gordon, and Sergeant Henry, during which 58 tickets were issued for the following offenses: 38 cases of exceeding the speed limit, 3 cases of failing to comply with traffic signs, 4 cases of driving without a seatbelt, 1 case of driving with a child without a child's seat, 2 cases of non-compliant identification marks, 2 cases of driving without a front identification mark, 5 cases of illegal dark tinting on windshields and windows, 2 cases of driving unlicensed vehicles, and 1 case of using a defective tire with visible treads. Additionally, the police have raised concerns about the growing issue of unlicensed vehicles on the road, which poses serious risk to public safety.
Persons who are not in a habit of licensing their vehicles. I want to let you know as well that the law speaks to persons who are keeping for use the unlicensed vehicle. That is an offense. It's in our regulation. It's in our chapter 15.06 of the laws of the Federation, that if you are not driving your vehicle, if your vehicle is off-road, you must report it to the traffic department so that we must be aware. So those of you who have your vehicles parked on the government road and the vehicle is not licensed, it is not safe for you to say, I am not driving it, I don't have any monies to pay for it, and so it's okay for you to leave it thinking that I don't have to license. But the law clearly speaks, Section 12(1)(a) of the laws of the Federation, our traffic laws, that it's an offense to be driving or keeping for use an unlicensed vehicle. The law speaks to unregistered vehicles as well. That also is an offense, and so we want the persons who are not aware to be guided, and those persons who are aware and still wants to be disrespectful to the law, that it's an offense.
Officer Libert Shiverton emphasized that enforcement efforts will continue as authorities work to ensure greater compliance with traffic laws.
Members of the Junior Chamber International JCI St. Kitts and Nevis worshipped at a Pentecostal Church of God at its Boone Avenue location in Basseterre on February 16. The church service was one of several initiatives marking the return of JCI St. Kitts and Nevis as an active member of JCI West Indies. The JCI West Indies National President, Leisha Samuel, who traveled to St. Kitts and Nevis, delivered remarks at the church service and also paid respects to Pastor Arnaldo Bailey, a JCI senator.
I'm here to welcome back JCI St. Kitts and Nevis. Currently, we're in Antigua, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, and we really want to welcome back JCI St. Kitts and Nevis because we want our impact to be felt. In the region, we're celebrating 65 years this year, and we have a history and legacy of developing leaders, as you can see with the good pastor today, and all throughout, not just in church, in politics, in the community, starting the NGOs, businesses. We're that kind of organization.
Junior Chamber International JCI is a global network for young people between 18 to 40, represented in over 100 countries, and has over 200,000 members across the world. Samuel encouraged persons in St. Kitts and Nevis to join the organization.
You can also check out our social media. We're on Facebook as JCI St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as our email address is jcistnkittsnevis@gmail.com. And I will encourage you. I was really touched by the words over the offering. You can be the other people. You can support. Even if you're not in the age group, you can support, whether it is monetary or even if it's just your prayers, because it was prayed for, as was said before, and we're here and we're back and we're trying to bring it back. The first tenet of our creed says, faith in God gives meaning and purpose to human life. And that is why we're here today. It's only fitting that we celebrate with you as we celebrate this milestone that we're embarking on today to bless the journey of JCI St. Kitts and Nevis.
The JCI West Indies national president arrived in St. Kitts on February 14. Her first national visit included an interview upon her arrival in St. Kitts, a visit to the Prime Minister's office where she met Miss Naima Hazel, permanent secretary, a lunch engagement with members of St. Kitts and Nevis JCI executive, and a training session on February 15. Founded more than 100 years ago, JCI is the premier organization for youth leadership and skills enhancement. JCI West Indies was established in 1960.
Police continue to investigate the incident at the Charlesville Mills Secondary School, which led to a major operation to ensure the safety of students and staff. On Friday, the police and the Ministry of Education decided to cancel classes at the school. In an update last evening, authorities confirmed that investigations are ongoing but have not provided any further details at this time. The situation arose on February 14 between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. when the police force was alerted to a social media post alleging that a criminal act was planned for SEMS in St. Kitts. While the police have not disclosed the exact nature of the threat, WINN understands that it may have involved a potential shooting. In response, officers were deployed to the school to conduct thorough searches and ensure the safety of all students and staff. The school reopened on Monday, and as of press time, no arrests have been made. The Ministry of Education also confirmed that it had been made aware of the alleged planned criminal activity. Officials commended the swift response of law enforcement, who secured the premises and conducted a comprehensive search of the school and its surrounding grounds. As a precaution, SEMS was temporarily closed to facilitate the investigation.
Regionally,
political analyst Dr. Shane Mohammed believes the selection of Hans de Wiens to replace Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley as the Diego Martin West representative is a foregone conclusion. Media personality Hans de Wiens is backed by 16 party groups in the executive. Other nominees are Lady Vice Chairman Yokima Bethalmi, constituency official Curtis Toussaint, and constituency official Lasadi Felix. Mohammed believes it's just a matter of procedure now.
The Prime Minister is in a space, in my opinion, where you could tell by the man's mindset, you could tell by his dress, the casual of it, the more relaxed way of his dressing in some instances, that he's literally in pre-retirement leave in his mind, and he's tying up loose ends. And I think that's a foregone conclusion. I'd be very surprised if they come up with somebody else.
Dr. Mohammed adds that the Member of Parliament for Komodo Manzanilla, Dr. Rai Ragbir, should count himself as lucky to have served in the United National Congress. Last week, Dr. Ragbir said he will not be participating in the UNC's screening process, saying that he refuses to submit himself to a screening committee that includes individuals currently charged with wrongdoing. But Dr. Mohammed believes the UNC took a chance on him where they did not have to.
He should consider himself lucky because there are many people who were more qualified and I believe that were more suitable to be selected as members of parliament in that 2020 slate, and they were not given the opportunity. So count your lucky stars that you were given an opportunity for 5 years. You were also at that time, if I'm not mistaken, a deputy political leader of the UNC, and que sera, sera.
The People's National Movement will screen 3 seats today, Diego Martin West and Diego Martin Northeast, as well as Komodo Manzanilla.
George Wright has been readmitted as a member of the governing Jamaica Labour Party JLP, and from all indications will be the party's standard bearer for the upcoming general election.
A hero's welcome for Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Central George Wright at a meeting of a JLP's Young Jamaica in Westmoreland Sunday evening. Mr. Wright resigned from the party following a video of a man physically assaulting a woman was widely circulated. The police later revealed that Mr. Wright and the woman, identified as Tanisha Singh, both made reports of assault against each other, but then neither wished to pursue pressing charges. Since then, he has been serving as an independent MP. But with his renewed status in the Holness administration, an emotional George Wright took the spotlight.
I was out here in the pavilion. I'm back in the team. My work speaks for me.
And like he never left, touting the work of the Andrew Holness-led government.
They're talking about the road from South to Grange Hill. Well, this government, the Dr. Andrew Holness government, has allocated millions of dollars to fix that road. So when you hear about the Spark program and the REACH program, it reached Westmoreland and it has spark in Westmoreland.
As for access to potable water, he says that will be coming for Central Westmoreland. Mr. Wright says he's in constant dialogue with the Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda.
Because several communities in Central don't have potable water. But at the same time, these communities are in close proximity to the watershed. What can go so?
Internationally,
Major news story that we're following is that of the health of Pope Francis. Doctors caring for the Pope have changed the course of treatment because of what the Vatican described as a complex clinical situation. The 88-year-old Pope was admitted with bronchitis 4 days ago, and the Vatican said he would remain there for as long as necessary. Pope Francis is said to be in good spirits. I'm joined by our correspondent Bethany Bell, who's in the Vatican City. Bethany, what more do we know?
We don't know very much more than what the Vatican has told us. We know that Pope Francis was taken to hospital on Friday. He's been undergoing tests and doctors prescribed complete rest. Yesterday, in a post on social media, he thanked pilgrims for their affection and their prayers, but he wasn't well enough to appear to give his usual weekly prayer, Angelus prayer to pilgrims. So we're waiting for a further update. We understand that may come today on his state of health, but at the moment we do know that doctors have modified his treatment for this respiratory tract infection that he's been suffering from for some days now.
And the Pope, who's from Argentina, of course, Argentina has spent nearly 12 years as leader of the Catholic Church. He has had some health issues, though, hasn't he?
Yes, in 2023, he was admitted to the same hospital in Rome, the Gemelli Hospital, which has its own special suite to treat popes. He had a hernia operation then. He's had influenza several times in recent years. And as a young man, he had pleurisy and had to have part of one of his lungs removed. And of course, now he's 88 years old. There will be concerns about him suffering from this infection. And it has been the case that in recent appearances, in recent days, he did appear to be struggling. He was giving an address on Wednesday, which he then asked one of his aides to finish. So many people here telling me that they are praying for his health and well-being.
And traditionally, how open are the Vatican in terms of updates on the health of the Pope? Obviously, there's always a matter of individual privacy to be balanced with updating all the followers of the Catholic Church in particular.
It's a very delicate balance. Of course, there is the need for privacy. There is also doctors may well be waiting to see how he responds to new treatment. But we have had reports from the Vatican over the weekend saying that his situation was stable. Today, then, we got this new report that he was in what was described as a complex clinical situation. And now we wait to hear what the Vatican says again in terms of how he has responded to this treatment.
Bethany Bell, thank you very much.
Right now, a defiant Mayor Adams is holding a rally in Brooklyn as he tries to stop a staff insurrection. Several deputy mayors are apparently ready to put in their walking papers. Political reporter Marcia Kramer joins us from Brooklyn with the latest. Marcia.
Well, Cindy, the church here in Bed-Stuy is just starting to fill up. Mayor Adams is expected here for a campaign rally. It's the latest sign that he intends to fight to keep his job.
Remove Eric Adams.
For the second day in a row, advocates gathered at City Hall to call on Governor Hochul to remove Mayor Adams from office. But the embattled mayor had the possibility of other job openings to contend with. Sources telling CBS News New York that during a weekend Zoom call, at least 3 deputy mayors told Mayor Adams they wanted to quit. As the controversy continued to grow over the possibility he agreed to a quid pro quo to get his criminal case dropped. Sources familiar with the discussions say Maria Torres Springer, Ann Williams Isom, and Mira Joshi expressed a desire to leave the administration by the end of next month. A 4th deputy mayor, Chauncey Parker, was also on the Zoom call, but it is unclear if he also said he wanted to leave. Sources also said the mayor and others are trying to convince the deputies to stay for the stability of the city. Asked about the possible departures, a City Hall spokesperson said, quote, "If and when we have personnel announcements to make, we will make them." This as the mayor ramped up his fight to stay in office with weekend appearances at 2 Queens churches.
I am going nowhere.
All those other conversations, that's up to them to have. I was voted by the people of the city, and I'm looking forward to the great work I'm going to continue to do.
Meanwhile, Adams' predecessor, former Mayor Bill de Blasio, says Adams has to set the record straight that there was no quid pro quo with the Trump administration.
He has basically, in my view, he has this week to do it. His entire political career, his time as mayor, everything comes down to this week. He has to convince the people of New York City right now that he will take on Donald Trump.
And with a federal judge deciding whether to grant the government's motion to dismiss, de Blasio says Adams has to move quickly, even though he personally thinks the case against the mayor is weak.
People have to see resolve from him. And if he doesn't do it really quickly, events are going to overtake him.
Now, there's also the question of what Governor Hochul is going to do. Sources tell me that she's focusing on making sure the city has stability. She wants to make sure the subways are safe and the trash is picked up. I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS News, New York.